Hello, give me 1 second to make the presentation perfect. I'm sorry about that. My name is Hannah Chachapoya, and I'm going to show you the proper use of stories in a social media platform. So, stories are implemented on Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And these are the big four of social media platforms as of right now. So, what is a story? This is a very important concept to understand how to use it. So, when you think of a story in a traditional sense, it's a book that you read. However, in a social media sense, it is instead a picture or a short video that you use to share. And to understand how it is in social media, you have to understand the story's origins. So, in order to understand that, we have to look at the origins. So, stories were created by Snapchat, and it became a feature in 2013. So, Snapchat is a social media platform where it's mainly how you communicate with friends on a picture basis, and the picture disappears after you send it. So, stories in that case are pictures and short videos that you put on to the public to see, and they disappear after 24 hours. So, this is how stories are, and that's what we use to name them in social media. So, story campaigns. So, even though I said you can use stories on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat, Twitter just came out with stories and they're called Smeets, I believe, but no one really likes them and no one uses them. I haven't seen it used. So, when I say story campaigns, these are the big three that you should be considering, which is Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook, because it stories flourish on these platforms. So how do you use stories? So these are the three main topics I'm going over in this presentation. It's going to be how to keep it professional, how long is acceptable, and how to retain consumer interest, not customer, I'm sorry. All right, and then let's go. So how do you keep it professional? So the first thing you need to know is your demographic. If you don't know your demographic, you cannot keep it properly professional. What I mean by that is if you have an older demographic, you can't use quotes like cis or like snatch your wig. These are quotes that you use for the younger generation because we know what that means. And so if you're going to implement a story, if you have the younger generation, if you have it a very cold and monotone sort of way, they're not going to watch it. And if you have an older generation watching it and you have a very colorful, oh, we snatch your wig and a bunch of like meme culture, again, they won't understand it and they won't go through your story. So this is why knowing your demographic is essential, especially if you want to keep it professional. So, what is your organization's values and morals? So this is another thing you have to know, no matter what, if it's a company, if it's a nonprofit, if it's anything, you need to know their values and morals. Because if you break that, it is a huge problem, and I'll go over that more in the what not to do part. So you cannot take anything personal. So you have to remember these stories are a company platform. So you cannot add photos of yourself, little quotes. You can't add things that would look bad on the company and are just your personality. And you have to be consistent. With the age that we are now in social media, everything kind of goes and flies by quickly. So if you don't post stories like semi regularly, you will be forgotten. So what not to do? To break your organization brand. And this is where I'm going to go much more into why you need the morals and values. Because if you break the brand, in the culture we're in now, we have a cancel culture. Whether you think it's good or bad is up to you, and this is not for discussion right now. But this is an important factor. So if you break your organization's brand, it can cause a cancellation effect. And the effects of that is honestly unpredictable. So this is why it's important to be consistent and to stay on your brand, because if you venture too far, it can be very dangerous territory. And being personal. So again, understanding that this is a company platform. Plus, you see right here, this is the photo or video of the Zoom cat, the Zoom lawyer. So this is another way of just like you need to keep it professional and then from being personal, because he's a lawyer and that he's looking like a cat. Of course, this is not his fault. It's a technical difficulty, which I completely understand. But this is in the importance of knowing your audience, because he was in front of a judge when he did this. and it didn't look well. All right, and then next we're going to go over how long is acceptable. So, reminder, stories only last for 24 hours. That makes timing everything. And I believe a 5 to 10 photos or videos is the limit. Even 10 is going far because you have to realize that the longer your story is, the less likely people are going to watch all the way through. Okay, so what not to do, and it's spam. This is why time is so important. Because if you do not time things correctly, like send your story out at the exact same time, it will come off as spam. So you need to time it correctly. You need to put it in the 24-hour loop so people will be more likely to watch your stories. And not to have too many photos or have it keep popping up that you have a story, because then consumers are less likely to have your notifications on or go through your stories because they'll think it's just spam. All right, next is how to retain the customer's interest. So first, constructing colors. If you have a very bland story, people won't be interested. And be unique. Don't be like every other company or just like a one, two, three story. Because if you do that, the likelihood of someone actually clicking is significantly lower. Use links. So I will discuss more why to use links in the what not to do section, but you also have to be concise. And this is because, as I stated before, the longer story is, the less likely customers are going to go through. So, if you have to have your first photo or video be the one that has the most important information and has the link to it. Because the likelihood of consumers actually going through each and every photo or video you have is relatively lower the more photos or videos you have. So, what not to do? Word spam. So since stories were created on Snapchat, it was like a photo or a small video where you have like maybe a 1 to 2 word sentence on it. So with that, having how stories were created and how stories are just how they are, you cannot have a whole article listed in your story. Instead, have like a main point and then have a link to the article. That way, consumers are more likely to go to and view the actual article. And again, don't want it to be the same color because then it'll be bland and the likelihood of someone staying and watching your story is significantly lower. And do not be disorganized. So as I just said before, the first photo or video are what people are most likely going to watch from your consumer base. So you need to have your most important information there. If you have your most important information at the end of the story, it's less likely to meet everybody and your consumer will just be confused. And don't be overwhelming. So here I think this is a photo of Times Square, and when you have like a picture or video where it's just like bam, 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 it becomes too much and the consumer can't really know what data and what information you want them to have. All right, then that is it, and I will leave you with this photo of my dog and my two ferrets as a way to keep it on a light mood and hopefully your quarantine is going well. Yes, the photo of my dog is upside down because for some reason Prezi does not want me to put it the upside. I don't know why. Anyway, if you have any questions or have anything you want more information on, feel free to reach out to me underneath the comment section or email me if you have to. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful night. Bye.